they will bite you in the ass later. Like, I'm telling you. I will never forget the time when I posted a video that had multiple millions of views, and one of the top comments were, "You dodged a bullet." And right underneath, someone said she didn't dodge the bullet, she got hit right in the head. I remember reading this and thinking, I do want to believe that I dodged a bullet, but it doesn't feel like it. I always try to make videos that make you feel better, that get you inspired, have an uplifting experience, but I think this video will give you some hard truths that hit me right in the head, that I learned the really hard way, that will provide you with the end result that actually makes your life better, easier, happy, but the facts itself, they're kind of harsh. So if you're not ready for that, I totally understand, but if you're wanting to avoid the crazy mistakes that I've made, so you're not ending up in a situation like me, keep watching. I want to share with you the hard facts that no one wants to say out loud because they're not funny, they're not cool, they're not what you want to believe in many ways, but these are the facts that I wish I knew sooner that could have avoided a lot of headache in my life. Number one, the one that I struggled with for a really long time and still haven't gotten over yet, is friends are not forever. Although we always think, oh my gosh, friends last a lifetime, unfortunately, you will probably realize sooner or later that that's not the case, and the sooner you do that, the less heartache you're going to have over it, because that was one of the hardest things for me to get over, to realize that friends are not there forever. Although I know there is possibilities that friends do last forever, I was quite shocked when I realized that my friendships that I've built over years, that I've had a connection with every single day, didn't last. And that was a really tough pill for me to swallow, because I've always been someone who never leaves a relationship, and it's the first time that I had to actually end friendships to protect myself, to protect my daughter, and in that way, that was a really tough one. That was a really, really tough one. And the sooner you realize that some friendships are not there forever, the easier it is for you to get over them. Being betrayed by friends was for me actually worse than being betrayed by my partner. And that's crazy because my partner dumped me pregnant. It really hit me hard. And I think for you to know that not friendships are forever, I just had to drop that mentality that they are forever, because that was just driving me crazy. I don't really have a solution to this, but that's just a fact. I hope you cannot hold on to the friendships the way I did, and that way you're not going to get hurt the way I did. And that brings us already to the second one. This one was also really, really tough to swallow. It takes years to build trust. Although I always start with people feeling like if they haven't done anything wrong, I trust them. Like, I generally want to trust people. It's not like they have to earn my trust. I give people my trust unless they prove me wrong. Sometimes you're so sad because it takes years to foster the trust to a stronger connection, to then realize that it can be shattered in the form of an instant. Once the trust is broken, you can't get it back. Especially in relationships. You will never feel safe. You will always run on eggshells. You will never feel you can fully trust. And the worst part is you're going to lose the trust you have to yourself, because you will realize it will make it hard for you to make future decisions because you are not trusting yourself, and that will lead you to a whole nother hole of misery. So it's really, really hard, and we want to forgive, and I'm all about forgiving people. But once trust is broken, there really isn't no way to come back from that. Number 3, you might wait for apology that will never come. This apology probably will never come, and you have to start living with that, because at the end of the day, apology is probably also not going to change things are for you. So it's great to get one, but don't wait for one, because most apologies will never come. The next one is a little bit more positive, but you're going to realize how strong you are until you have no other choice. When you have no other choice, but you have to do the one thing, you will do it. And you're going to be like, oh my goodness, I can do it on my own. I don't need someone else. I don't need help. I don't need this person in my life. If you have no other choice, and sometimes I do that, I put myself in a position where I feel like, wow, and if that in that scenario I had no other choice, what would I do? And then you realize how strong you are, because in most cases you actually end up doing the thing you thought you could never. The next thing I think most people know, social media is fake. It really is. The stuff I see online, and when you know what's going on in this person's life, has nothing to do with reality. I used to get really sad because I would take social media at face value and think, oh my gosh, what does she have that I don't? And then I realized it was all bullshit. Like, it was all fake, it was all show, and had nothing to do with reality. And so the sooner you realize that things you're seeing online, everyone's perfect life, you'll see that most of it is just fake. It's just people having too much time to create a life online that they don't really live. And that brings me to the next one. You will never get your time back. Sometimes it's really hard to leave situations or leave relationships or end friendships because you feel like with the time you spend is already so much, and you feel like you're so deep in, the sunken cost is so high that it wouldn't make sense to go up. But the one thing you will never get back is your time. You will heal a broken heart. You will get new friends. You will get a new job. You will get back on your feet. But the time you will never get back. And so the sooner you cut it and end it and move on your own, the less time you're gonna waste on someone. I actually saw this video, I think it was on TikTok. I think someone said you wouldn't go on a plane if it means it crashes even though you paid a lot for the ticket, or something along the lines like that. And I thought it was so true. Like, yeah, obviously, even if you spend like $5,000 on a ticket to go to a destination, if you knew the plane was crashing, you wouldn't still go on it just because you spent money on it. And if you can take that advice to things that didn't work out, just remember you learned a lesson, all the lessons you take with you, and hopefully you will end up in a better situation that doesn't include that person. Unfortunately, I was holding on to this one. Time heals everything. It really doesn't. Time doesn't really heal anything, but it changes everything. And that gives you hope because you realize that things change over time. It doesn't mean they heal everything, but you will adjust eventually and you will get more used to the way it is. And that way it won't feel so heavy. So if you feel like, oh my gosh, it's never going to get better, it is going to get better over time, but not because the thing is getting better, but you're getting stronger over it. You will be more equipped to deal with it. And this is the next one. Silence sometimes is the best choice to end certain things. Do not send this long paragraph. Do not do that. Just silence. Silence is the best answer. People will judge you on how you reply. And if you don't reply, they cannot judge you on that. That's just a huge factor that I learned the hard way. And that's actually the next one I want to talk about. And that is never, ever reply in the heat of the moment. You wouldn't believe how many times I would read an email from my lawyers and I would just burst in tears, and it was just like, how is this possible? Like, I can't believe this. Like, what am I doing here? This is crazy. Like, couldn't believe it. And I would just come up with thousands of emotions. And then at the end of the day, I realized, like, it doesn't matter what I feel, especially in terms of cases. I have to think about it. I have to really rest and think about what is something I could write so it won't get held against me later on. Because if I'm answering like a crazy, even though I might have the right to, because that's how I feel in the moment, I feel absolutely devastated, sad, and I just want to shout out to the world like, oh my God, what's happening? It can be held against you. And that is something I will always try to do now. Or have been trying to do, is not to answer in the heat of the moment, but give it some time. You will come up with a way better answer. You will not look like a crazy fool because you took time to actually make a reply that makes sense, and that's not made out of emotions. The next thing is something I've learned the hard way, is do not surround yourself with stingy people. There's a difference between people who cannot afford items or can't afford certain things, and there's people who are just fact crazy stingy. For the love of God, don't ever surround yourself with stingy people. It's the most exhausting, draining thing ever. Because the stingiest people are usually the ones with the most funds. And so don't ever get surrounded with people who are crazy stingy. It's so annoying. Don't do it. It's annoying. I think we're at 30 right now, if I counted correctly. Healing is not linear. I've been trying to heal for so long right now, and I still have flashbacks of certain things where I get reminded on certain things, and it feels like so heavy like day one. And I used to beat up myself about it because I would feel so devastated and I would feel so sad about it because I felt like I wasn't making progress, because I was still feeling really heavy in certain aspects that would arise, and it would make me feel so annoyed about myself because I feel like I should have been healing so much faster. I should have felt so much better. I should feel so much better already. And I realized it's it's not linear. It's not like, okay, today, Thursday, I'm healed. It's not like that. Sometimes certain things process, and the one thing that really helped me was starting to be okay with not healing in a linear way, but also if something sad would come up or some emotion would come, I would just allow them to be there and just accept that today I'm not going to have a good day. And that's fine. That takes so much pressure off always having to perform in a certain way, because you realize it's okay. Certain things happen in your life and you do not have them fixed by the year mark or Mark 2 or even Mark 3. Like, you don't have to have them fixed at a certain time, because people heal in different ways and they heal in different time frames. And I know I accepted the fact that even in 10 years, I'm sure things will come up that will remind me of certain things that happened to me that will make me have a meltdown. And I accepted it. It's okay. Like, that's going to happen. And the sooner you do that, the less pressure you have to live this performative lifestyle of always having your shit together and always proving like, oh, didn't bother me. Maybe it is okay to be bothered. It is okay. And give yourself that grace. It makes the whole healing journey so much less annoying. I don't know a better word. Number 15, I think. You will come across people that do not have a backbone, that do not have loyalty whatsoever. And it can get so aggravating, because if you were in their shoes, you wouldn't do certain things, and you just assume that people would act on the same way. Some people do not have a backbone. I'm not sure why. Sometimes it's the way they were brought up, it's their beliefs, it's whatever. And when you see that potential in someone, you get so frustrated. I used to get so frustrated because I was like, how could you do this? When if I were in your shoes, I would never. Like, but that's just how you would act, and you can't project that on others. Some people do not have strong opinions in certain ways. They rather just be friends with everybody. They just swim along, get along with everybody. But usually those people don't really have strong, real connections, because if you're friends with everybody, you're probably not friends with anyone, because certain things that happen where you need to have a clear stand, and if you can't have that, and if people don't have that certain type of backbone in order to stand your values, your beliefs, whatever it is, that's okay. It's just probably a way for you to realize that those people are not part of your life and they shouldn't be part of your life, and it's okay. The next one is waiting for the perfect time. Perfect time will never come. I would always say, oh my gosh, if this happened, then I'll do it. If this happened, the perfect time will never come, period. That's all I can say about that. Number 17, you do not have to forgive. I choose not to forgive certain people, and I will stand by that. It took a lot of pressure away from me having to forgive people that, in my opinion, did something that's irreversible. And so for me, I realized you don't have to forgive someone. You can move on without that happening. I actually find a lot of peace not having to forgive. And I know some people have different ideas on it. And if you have a different idea on it, you do you. Most likely you haven't been in a situation where you had to not be able to forgive. But in my experience, some things are unforgivable, and I stand by that. Number 18, discipline is such a great thing because it keeps kicking when you have no motivation. The amount of times I would wake up and not feel motivated and feel absolutely drained, just not feeling it. My discipline, the routines that I started really helped me to push through. And again, as I said in the beginning, sometimes you don't have another choice. You are just capable of crazy things. Like I sometimes like to use my daughter as an example, because I know like no one's gonna get up, I have to do it. And so if you have no other choice, you are so capable of doing amazing things. And if you can apply this concept to yourself, just to think, okay, I don't have another choice, I'm gonna do this, your discipline will get you places the motivation could never. The next one is comparison is the biggest thief of joy. Especially if you compare yourself to people online, when you see they have those perfect lives, they're married, they have kids, they have this great family, they're successful, they have money, whatever it is, you just feel like, oh my gosh, I'm already this age and I don't have that. It just takes so much joy out of your life. And so the one thing I started doing is I realized, or try to always keep in mind that people have different circumstances. Some people are born in very wealthy families. Some people are very lucky when it comes to certain parts of their life. And some people just made good choices because they had more experiences. And so if you can take that into account and not feel jealous of other people, but also realize that people are in different lanes because they have different backgrounds, you're going to realize that maybe you can start focusing on your own lane, and that will make everything so much better, because in your own lane, you will always be the champion. You will never feel bad or sad or anything. You will be like, wow, look at what I did, because you're not looking right and left to see where everyone else is, but you're just looking where you are. And that is the best way to live your life, because you're not going to feel so drained of watching others play their own game. Number 20, asking for help is not a weakness. I realized very quickly that because I used to be such an independent person, I still consider myself pretty independent. I would always think like, no, I got it. I would just not let people help me. And being okay with not having to do it all, and being okay with asking others for help, is actually such a good strength, because you realize that you don't have to do it all. Especially if you do have the options, ask for help. It's such a beautiful thing, because actually other people love to help you. I think sometimes in our mind we just don't want to bother people, but if someone asks me to help them, like, I would love to help. Not just for the sake of helping, but it also makes me feel good because you feel needed. So yeah, ask others for help. They're probably going to feel good about it. The next one is red flags. I hate the term because it's thrown on the internet like crazy. But if you ignore red flags in the beginning, they will bite you in the ass later. Like, I'm telling you, the more you ignore, and that actually brings me to the next one, is that empathy. I think empathy is something that I foster very deeply. It's one of the things that I've always tried to keep in my heart, because I consider myself a person with a lot of empathy, and it brought me into situations that were awful. When you have a lot of empathy, you start making excuses for things that are absolutely unacceptable, and you make yourself very vulnerable for people who have narcissistic tendencies or who are narcissists, because they take advantage of people with a lot of empathy. And so, oh my gosh, the amount of excuses I would make up for people, because I would just feel like I would justify everything they were doing. But it's like, yeah, well, they were brought up in a different way. They had a terrible childhood, so that's why they are the way they are. Let me just give them more love, and they will realize how valuable it is to have love and all this stuff. And so, oh my gosh, empathy is the biggest blessing in your life, but is also carrying the worst curse. So don't try to make excuses because you have a lot of empathy towards people. That can burn you to the ground with no bottom. It can get you in such deep trouble. It took me to really bad places because I would find out excuses because I felt like I had a lot of empathy for people. The next one I really love is you will raise your standards the longer you are on this earth because you will not expect people to treat you a certain way once you experience it. So once you set certain standards, you never will go back. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. Like the relationships you have with people, you will set a standard to that you will never go below that. Especially if you've been burned, you will realize very soon that you will never allow friends or a boyfriend or girlfriend or a wife or husband to treat you a certain way, because that's a standard you no longer tolerate. You tolerated that in the past, it got you burned, and now you learn from the experience and you will never tolerate that again. And so I love the idea of knowing that I will never go below what I already experienced, if that makes sense. And that brings us to the last one, is people will not respect you more than you respect yourself. And that is, oh gosh, I realized I had no self-respect for so long. I thought I had. I felt like I had all these things, but in realities I had no self-respect in so many ways that I would have people treat me a certain way, and I would come up with reasons why they did that or why I wasn't worth better treatment. And so if you're not respecting yourself, if you don't have that self-respect, how do you expect others to respect you more? They will not, unfortunately. I hope you can take that to heart and know that the more you respect yourself, the better your life will get. I hope these were helpful. Let me know if you have some hard lessons you learned the hard way. so we don't have to learn them the hard way.